and today I have Scott. So yeah, he is a wealth coach, and both his own money and his clients' money into put into a mutual funds rather than Mr. Scott Gannon. Welcome, Mr. Scott on Entrepreneurship 101. And can you please introduce me more about yourself that I have?
Sure thing. So, sorry, I forgot to put my notifications off on my email there, but I'm trying to do that at the same time. So, yes, my name is Scott Gannon, and I'm basically a financial strategist, and I specialize working with real estate investors and incorporated business owners to optimize how they control, access, and deploy their capital. So it's kind of a rather than a what to invest in it's I show investors the how by creating a foundation of safety under their portfolios by improving liquidity, financial velocity, and returns without increasing risk. I teach a cash warehousing strategy that is designed to prevent uninterrupted compounding and avoid lost opportunity costs. Two hidden dregs that quietly erode investor performance hugely. My work helps investors avoid becoming equity rich but cash poor, reduces tax, and positions them to move quickly when opportunities present themselves, as well as emergencies. So, a little about my how I got here. I started 31 years ago and in the mutual fund investing world, where in the mid and late 90s, I looked like a genius. Stock markets were just kind of going up, going up, going up until the dot-com bubble burst. Airplanes flew into buildings, for those who remember that on this channel. And I wasn't such a genius anymore. But it was a humbling experience, but it was also an opportunity for me to do start all over again. And at the end of 2002, getting people were lining up to invest more money because it was the best time in a generation to invest because the markets had lost 50% of their value. And lo and behold, that those generations aren't really generations anymore because it happened again in the 2008 crisis, financial crisis, and they fell again. So I did a lot of soul searching after that. Started looking at real estate myself, and that's what I do now. I invest in real estate, and I also discovered a strategy in the mid teens, 2016, that married quite well to my day job, and so to speak, and started in protecting people's capital to later invest in real estate. But it also has a insurance component to it that allows this capital be tax free as it grows. So it's a very specifically designed life insurance policy that allows capital to grow tax free, and it's contractually available to you to borrow against on demand. So you don't have to apply for it. That was a great opportunity for me. I used it for various real estate transactions a few years later. But what really hit home for me is almost 4 years ago now, but over 3 years ago, my 19-year-old daughter at the time was diagnosed with a very rare cancer in a very bad spot at the base of her skull. That experience was she had surgeries here locally. I'm in Halifax, and after 3 surgeries, we sat down, and the doctors told us we need to find a surgeon willing to go back in and not risk her life. Well, every surgery is a risk, but a surgery willing to risk going back in to get more tumor out because too much of it was still too close to her brainstem to do anything else. It had to be removed. And that was the first bit of relief I had through this process. This was about 6 months into it. And the reason I was relieved is because within 4 hours after I found out what it was, I found the top doctor in the world, or surgeon in the world, and he was in Pittsburgh. And so we had her records sent there immediately. And within a month from there, she was in surgery with him. And what I had to do to get that to happen was I didn't have time. The type of the type of tumor that she had is, when you, just like any cancer, when you touch it, it gets more aggressive. And they were already she was already operated on 3 times in Halifax, and it was getting very aggressive. She was basically, for life of it, like, I hate even saying this out loud, she was dying in front of us. So I needed cash quickly, because the only way I could get a surgery date was to send $275,000 US to the hospital, or proof of insurance, which I didn't have. That was a relief, because I had in my warehousing strategy, I had over $500,000, 523 to be exact, and that got me enough to send immediately to her to get a surgery date. She's now, fully recovered, living her life, and I had other means to access capital, but they all would have taken time. The only thing I had that I knew I could just order was this cash, what's called cash value in these life insurance policies, and that changed everything for me. It was nice to be able to take advantage of opportunities. It was a much bigger thing to essentially save her life.
Thank you for sharing that story, Mr. Scott, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And today, let's talk about being you as a boss. You spent nearly 30 years in finance, both
Yes.
the 2008 crisis forced you to completely rethink your approach. Was there a single moment, a phone call, a client meeting, or sleepless night that made you realize traditional Wall Street wisdom have failed you?
Yeah, so it certainly wasn't any one given night. It was more of a, as I'm watching this happen, understanding why it's happening and not really being able to control it. I was very frustrated with the lack of control. So control became a buzzword that I use every day in my life now. Is how much am I losing control if I do this? How much can I control if I do that? And so on. So the idea of securing my own capital in a place where I can control the outcome, because the way these strategies work is they're guaranteed, and they never go down in value, and they're tax exempt. So I know that when I use that money for opportunities like a real estate deal, or even investing in another business or my own business, I'm in more control, because I can see, touch, and feel it. I can control how hard I work, or what strategies I use for my own business. If I understand somebody else's business, I can also exert control there. If I'm investing in real estate, there's ways. Real estate, it's a multiplying factor, because there's so many different ways you can get paid with it. And if you understand how it works, and you understand and you study how you're going to make money with it, or how you're going to protect your investment, then again, you're in control. In my mind, putting money in the stock market is, I've had the experience that I don't want to go through again, and that is, it's not in control. The only person that got, like, I can't control how Facebook, or like Meta, or Google, what they decisions they make. I can't. There's no amount of money that I would come up with myself to be able to control their destiny. So I avoid it.
Well said, Mr. Scott. You benefited from the booming 90s markets, then watched downturns erase gains in the early 2000s and 2008. How do you reconcile the guilt of having sold traditional strategies to clients before you discovered what you now teach?
Good, very. That's a very good question. Thank you for asking that, Daniel. And it's one of those things that I just freely be authentic and admit is I listened to mentors. I got trained a certain way and thought I was doing at the time. I thought I was doing the right thing, and for the most part, clients did okay. Um, and but I go right back to the control thing. Is most didn't blame me at all for what was going on. They knew it was out of my control, and it was like let's just face it. I'm honest about it. I basically spent the first 18, 17, 18 years in my mind doing it wrong, and I readily admit it to people, and I also readily share that I now have 31 years of experience instead of 18. And I do feel like I'm in the right area now. And really, it goes back to if there's one, I always tell people is there's one word that you'll hear a lot from me. It's all about control. If you can take control of your own life, you're going to be better off. That's just the way it is. You need to be able to seize control.
Indeed, this control. You move from assets management to real estate and infinite banking. When you made the pivot, did
Yes.
your colleagues think you lost your mind? How do you handle this skepticism?
Again, so but it's funny you say that because that was a popular thing when back in 2016, 2017, 2018. As I'm talking to people, they're like, so you're starting over again. I said, yeah, I'm a kid again, and I'm new in business, and but I again, I just the key to this is being honest about where you're at and what you believe, and people resonate with that. But yeah, people did think I lost my mind because I was walking away. Like, see, the investment management business is easier. It's anybody can. I shouldn't say anybody, not anybody, but it's easier in that people want and understand and see the stock market. So to get people to invest is easy. Oh, that part's easy. Managing it, no, it's not easy. It's not easy at all. And people appreciate that work. But what I really didn't like about it, as much as it was good for my own wallet because it kept me in business, is that there's so much residual income attached to it that I'm not even responsible for the outcome because whether you win or lose, I'm still getting paid. And it just didn't sit well with me. I had trouble with that myself, but most importantly, it wasn't so much that because the ones that are really good at it and get paid to do it, they deserve it. I'm not saying I was bad at it. It's not that at all. I just didn't like, or I didn't feel it didn't sit well with me getting paid when other people were losing money. It really didn't. And that was an easy story to tell back in 9 10 8 9 10 years ago.
And again, thank you for that story, Mr. Scott. Thank you for sharing to us.
Of course.
You teach business owners how to become their own banker. Walk
Hmm.
me through the psychology of that shift. What does it feel like to an entrepreneur to stop being slave to banks and start controlling their own cash?
Yeah, so that's I position it as they're taking it, they're they're building a separate business, and that business happens to be banking. And if you understand how banks make money, you'll want to replicate that. But there's more to it than that because it's not. there's a cost. Like people, like the biggest challenge I have is getting people past the idea that it's a life insurance contract that is the vehicle that we're using here. The concept of infinite banking is a process, and that process can be done with other products. It can be done with a savings account, but it's not very efficient, because if you have a savings account, you have a low interest rate that's fully taxable, and you don't have contractual lending attached to that. Yeah, you can apply to the bank and maybe get a line of credit against it, almost like home equity, but it's still in their control because they can call that loan at any time. They can deny your borrowing capacity. And here's where it gets really bad, for especially with business owners, because we traditionally go through cycles. Businesses have trouble, and banks love when you don't need money. They'll lend you money all the time when you don't need it, but if you need it, there's a lot of crickets in the bankers, in the loan officer's office when you need that money. This is contractual, so you don't have to apply for it, you order it, and that is key. You build this capital as a safety net as well as an opportunity fund, and that safety net could be you have to close. Well, I mean, we went through it 6 years ago. COVID, businesses had to shut down. A lot of them didn't survive. What if you had a store or a warehouse of capital that you could look at and say, Ottawa, I don't need your money. I'm good. I can get through this. A lot of people found out during COVID that the financial planning kind of guidelines were 3 to 6 months of expenses for an emergency fund. Well, we got introduced to a situation that in 2020 that 3 to 6 months doesn't quite cut it necessarily. And this is a great way to have that and not feel like you're losing ground because of the contractual leverage ability of it, but also that it's gaining a tax-free tax exempt return right from the get-go. So that you're getting value while you store your money.
Mr. Scott, you say infinite banking allows people to never interrupt the growth of their wealth. For an entrepreneur listening right now who's bleeding cash into interest payments, what is the first step they don't know they are missing?
So comparing it to cash. So the idea is, like, if you have, we'll just use a simple example. If you have a 100, let's just say 120 grand sitting in a savings account versus $120,000 sitting in a life insurance policy, that $120,000, if you need 100 of that to take advantage of an opportunity or an emergency, you take it from your bank account, and let's just say that bank account, let's just say that for argument's sake, you're earning 5% in that. Well, while you deploy that money, now you're at 20,000 instead of 120. You deploy it now. With an insurance policy, you borrow against the cash value, not from it. So when you borrow against it, you take the 100,000, you put it into that opportunity, you still have $120,000 sitting in the insurance policy gaining interest. So that's the uninterrupted compounding effect of it. The opportunity, that's where you really should be making money, because those are, I always use the phrase or ask the question is, when does the deal of a lifetime happen? Deal of a lifetime happens when somebody has a great idea or a great deal and needs money. You can be the money if you have this available. See, deal of a lifetime doesn't happen all the time, But when the deal of a lifetime happens, and you have the ability to participate with cash, and you don't give up the growth of the original capital. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but it's essentially looking at infinite banking from a business side of things more so than a consumption. So an opportunity versus consumption. There's lots of people that talk a lot about using infinite banking on a personal level. I don't.
Hmm.
I talk about it from a business perspective as a business strategy only.
So, Mr. Scott, the wealthiest 1% use these strategies, but most people never hear about them. Why is that? Is it secrecy, complexity, or something else keeping the tools from the average business owner?
I truly just think it's an evolution of value. And the top 1%, you're right. They take advantage of these things. They take advantage of leverage. They take advantage of opportunities that are handed to them. But it's an evolution of understanding. See, the top 1% is that's the people that's the class that historically banks throw money at. So they discovered something by doing that is you can magnify hugely your return by using someone else's money. Well, in fact, if you're using all of someone else's money, your return is infinite. And again, evolution, all of a sudden, people like myself or other business owners figure it out along the way. And as that opportunity grows, people like myself or people like Nelson Nash, who wrote the book, The Infinite Banking Concept, Becoming Your Own Banker, realize that there's an opportunity here that nobody has really thought of. So really it is. It's evolution. It's an evolution of opportunity.
Indeed, you and your wife invested a multi-family properties together.
Yes.
What did that experience teach you about partnership, both in marriage and business, that you could not have learned from a textbook?
That's a fantastic question. So luckily from the start, from a division of labor, if you will, that part was easy. My wife's a very detail oriented person. I'm not. My wife is a happy to be in the background. I'm happy to be on stage, so to speak, and I'm actually literally and so to speak. So I became very good at valuing or evaluating opportunities, and one of my I would say my real estate superpower is I can generally figure out what a building is worth, or I can calculate the real value in a real estate deal in my head. Came from practice with spreadsheets, but I can generally do it in my head now, and that's what I do. So I'm the front line. She was the back line. So and not that I'm talking like it's past tense. This is current as well. So but from the relationship standpoint, yeah, we have she has to be I get very was it I don't want to say angry but frustrated sometimes because like I'm the shiny object guy. Oh, look at this deal, this looks awesome, and I send it over to her, and sometimes she doesn't even answer me, and I know that a non-answer means like, okay, she thinks I'm chasing another shiny object. And if I'm really married to it, or if I really think it needs to get looked at, then I'll go back and, well, you got to look at this. And 9 times out of 10, if that happens, there's still only one that gets picked, right? 9 times out of 10, we still pass. So we've developed a pretty good relationship with it from a business standpoint. And the yeah, does it creep into our personal lives? Yeah, but I mean, from my perspective, is working is a hobby for me. Real estate is a hobby for me. This is what I love to do. But we also both love to golf too. So we take our time together and turn off the business minds often. But at the same time, it does become part of our lives as well. We talk about real estate, we talk about business over dinner at home, but if we go out on a like a date night or whatever, the business stays home.
Well said, Mr. Scott. You've been a private equity investor and serve on investment board on the boards. How does institutional perspective inform the way you coach individual business owners today?
So from it goes back to what I was saying earlier about where I focus my own time or my own energy and what I can control. And when it comes to coaching business owners on how, like most business owners know their business, the ones I talk to anyway, because generally the ones that I'm spending time with, I mean, I'm happy to coach businesses that are startups and not necessarily profitable right away, but I won't. That does not that would not include the strategies that I use because generally with what I do with the life insurance policies and the infinite banking, you need free cash flow for that, or we need to know where it's coming from. And so going back to how do I coach them, I don't claim to know their business. I will help them any way I can from understanding of, I mean, my background is in finance and accounting. I'm not afraid of a spreadsheet. I'm not afraid of a balance sheet, and I'm not afraid of an income statement. So I can help them along the way. I'm very open about doing that, but I won't tell them what they should or shouldn't. I always say you never should on somebody. Yeah, I can always talk about what they could do, but I'll never should on them. And that is because really I speak from experience, and that is I'm sharing knowledge, I'm sharing experience, and yes, I right here I come by naturally. I've had some experience, and I just share and hope that they are successful because they'll also if they're not ready for me, they'll remember me.
Certainly, they will remember you, Mr. Scott, and thank you so much for sharing your legacy to the world. And to wrap up our discussion for today, for an entrepreneur listening who's trapped in the mutual fund and hope mindset you describe, what is the one question they should ask themselves tonight before bed?
How much control do I really have with my capital?
Hmm, a big question. So, Mr. Scott, can you please invite our listeners to support your business or whatever you want to promote on Entrepreneurship 101?
Sure thing. You can. I'm easily findable. It's magnifywealth.ca is our website. You can contact me directly. It's Scott at magnifywealth.ca. Very simple. And yeah, just reach out. I'm happy to chat. And you can at the website. You can book me directly and or Cameron as well. So I have a partner sub agent as well. And yeah, so you can go in and book, and we will provide no obligation consultations.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Scott. Because we support him for you more and more empowering. Business life is life. So, Mr. Scott, I have one more question. If you could go back to 1994, Scott, just stating out riding the 90s boom, no idea the crashes were coming, what would you whisper in his ear?
Sorry, can you repeat that? What
What would you whisper in his ear?
Oh, what would I whisper in there? Hey, quote. Actually, I'll put this another way. Stay focused on real estate and life insurance.
Indeed. So, Mr. Scott, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. I really appreciate it.
You are
really
most
enjoyed
welcome.
it.
Yes, you are most welcome. And more to come, people. See you soon.